There's a new action RPG coming in 2025, but does it have what it takes to stand out in an increasingly crowded genre? My name is Andrew, and in this video, I'm talking about the First Berserker Khazan. There's a demo out now for this game, and I played it last night. Here are my takeaways after completing the roughly 2-hour slice of the game. The demo opens up with Khazan being transported in a caged cart after being convicted of treason and having the tendons in both of his arms cut. A mysterious entity appears and takes control of Khazan's body after wrecking the cart and group of soldiers transporting him to his exile location.
A physical form.
This mysterious entity gives Khazan another shot at life, but at the cost of having to listen to it monologue and maniacally laugh after every sentence.
A body, at last. A body.
The demo sees Khazan learn to master his newfound power and ultimately face off against the mysterious entity and make an agreement with it. Khazan will help it with its goal if it helps him achieve revenge for his wrongful punishment. Overall, I like this story setup. It's enough to get me going. There's a little bit of mystery, the characters are intriguing, and I want to see where it goes from here. The mysterious entity relationship with Khazan gives me Darksiders vibes, where in that game, you had to work with the Watcher at your side. In this one, you have to work with the entity that gives you your powers and is keeping you alive. It also kind of reminds me of the Shadow of War and Shadow of Mordor games. I'm also intrigued about Khazan as a character, and I'm curious to learn the story behind his conviction. What happened? Why was the punishment so severe? Will he ultimately get his revenge? Does he deserve to get his revenge? I think there's enough mystery around what happened to him to keep the momentum going for the story. And I'm also really interested in learning more about the world as a whole, since in the demo we really don't get much in the way of story progression and world building. We're pretty much confined to the snowy mountain. We don't get to see much of the larger world or what's going on in it, or who the rest of the cast of characters will be. Talking about the visuals for a little bit, I think this game looks awesome. The anime style art direction allows for the gore to be more stylized and over the top, and they really take advantage of that. It also sets this game up to age more gracefully as time goes on. Think Wind Waker or the recent Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom games. Those will age much more gracefully as they're not going for a hyper-realistic look that ends up being outdated in a few years. While the story setup gave me some Darksiders vibes, the art direction and the look of the environments and the characters and the weapons gives me major Berserk vibes. And I think that's a good thing. Honestly, I really only have good things to say about the way this game looks. I'm a big fan of this stylized art direction that they went with. Now let's talk about the gameplay. Technically speaking, the game ran great for me. I played on PC. I had a few hitches during some of the cutscenes, but in the gameplay where it really matters, the experience was smooth. So the levels that you're playing in the demo, the levels were pretty linear. They had some decent shortcuts back to the resting sites and a few side paths here and there that would lead to tougher enemies and or some sort of secret. I thought the atmosphere was really well done, and I had a good time exploring these levels overall. Your reward for exploring is various items and gear similar to other Souls-like games. This first slice of the game, this first area that you get to explore in the demo, definitely leans more on the linear side of things. There is one section that at first I thought might have been a little bit more open, but it was really just kind of wide, but still linear. Overall, I don't think that's a bad thing if it's done well. I think this game focuses probably a little bit more on the combat gameplay side of things than the exploration. So depending on your preference, that could be a negative. But as far as the levels and the flow of them and the design, overall I thought it was done pretty well from what I've played so far. The gear you pick up can be equipped, like in most games in this genre, and some of the gear has set bonuses. So the more pieces of this gear you equip, the more of those bonuses you will get, ultimately with 5 bonuses from having all 5 pieces of the gear. Towards the end of my play session in the demo, I had split 2 sets to get some of the earlier bonuses from each of the sets, and that was kind of fun to mix and match and experiment with. The demo contained 3 weapon types, being dual wield axe and sword, greatsword, and a spear/pike style of weapon. I personally really liked the dual wield and the greatsword, but I wasn't the biggest fan of the spear. Again, personal preference, the moveset just didn't really feel that great to me. Each weapon type has its own skill tree, along with a few other skill trees that are for general abilities. All of the talent points are instantly refundable, so you can move them between trees as you try different weapons. So you start out with the dual wield sword and axe. If you put all your points in that, and then you decide you like the greatsword, just pull them out of the dual wield skill tree, spend them all again in the greatsword. I really thought this was a great feature. It lets you experiment a lot more easily and smoothly than some of these games allow sometimes. Armor adds to your equip weight, and your weight limit will go up as you equip more armor. I never really noticed this causing much issue or much of a change at all in the demo. I was putting most of my points into my health, my endurance, and my strength, which was helping my equip load go up a little bit. Speaking of that, along with the skill trees, there is also the traditional Souls method of leveling up, where as you defeat enemies, you collect currency, and that currency gets spent across a variety of stats. These stats are pretty basic as far as games like this go, but I do think that is intentional since you are getting more abilities and power from the various skill trees. Now let's talk about the crown jewel of the First Berserker. That would be the combat. The combat system is a blend of Dark Souls, Sekiro, and combo-based action games like DMC. You have your basic light and heavy attacks, which do damage to enemies' health and their posture bar. The posture bar is also the stamina bar. So, similar to Sekiro, if you block at the right time, you'll do a parry type move that damages the enemy's posture bar. When their posture bar is depleted, you have a chance to do a critical attack. You can also deplete this bar just by attacking the enemy enough times. However, everything you do, attacking, dodging, that all takes away from your bar, and if it goes to 0, then you will be in a stunned state where you are vulnerable as well. The stylish combo-based action game part of the experience comes in based on the skills that you choose in the skill tree. So in the demo, there were only a few options to choose from, but even so, there were skills that required you to press the strong attack button at the end of a string of light attacks to trigger a special move, for example. So a simple combo, but still a combo. I think as the game goes on, these will get more and more intricate and more impressive. The first boss in the demo I thought was pretty easy. It was kind of like a big monster fight. But the second one took me about 30 minutes to beat, and that was more of a knight style of enemy. In the time that I was fighting that second boss, I changed my gear, and I changed my weapons, and I changed my approach to the fight, which was all really easy to do. Between attempts, I could swap out skills, swap out weapons, swap out gear, all different things to quickly try a different approach to the boss. You're not able to easily respec your stats that you've allocated into like your health and stamina and strength and things like that. But everything else, as far as your gear and your skills in the skill trees, all that can be swapped out on the fly. There's also an easy mode for this game, So if you just want to like breeze through it, or if you're new to the genre, but this one in particular seems interesting to you. However, the prompt for that easy mode did not show up for me until I beat the first boss. So I'm not sure if that's a requirement to unlock it or not. And if you can get through the first boss, then I guess maybe you could just keep trying on normal. I do think it's cool that it has an easy mode for people that want that. I do think it's interesting to lock it behind a boss if that is in fact the case. But it is just something I wanted to mention. I really enjoyed the combat system, and I'm looking forward to playing with it even more in the full game. I had a blast with the couple of weapons that I got to try. I had fun dealing with the different enemy types that were thrown at me. I didn't feel like any of the fights were super hard or unfair, but felt challenging enough to make them feel meaningful and make it feel like I had done something when I had overcome them. So my final thoughts on the demo and the upcoming game. I'm really excited for the First Berserker Khazan. It's been on my radar for a while, but after getting to play it for myself, it has quickly gone up the list of my anticipated games. I'm a huge fan of like AA games. I'm a huge fan of Souls games. I'm a huge fan of Darksiders. And so the art style, the story setup, the combat, it all speaks to me very specifically for what I'm looking for in a game. And it seems like they've done a really good job with it. It seems like it's going to be a high quality version of the things that I enjoy in video games. So for me personally, very much looking forward to it. Hopefully this video has helped you, if you're curious about it, to see, maybe if you want to check this one out. The demo is still available on consoles and Steam, so if you want to try it for yourself, go check it out. But if you've already played the demo, what did you think about it? Did you like it? Let me know in the comments below. Are you looking forward to the First Berserker Khazan? Why or why not? If you enjoyed this video, check out my other videos on Souls-like games that I've done right here on the channel. That's all for this one though. Stay friendly, gamers.
I will have no masters.